Nathan Wheeler here, owner of the Yeshua Network. You can learn more about us on Facebook.com, Yeshua Official. So I'm sitting here running my errands on a Friday, and I started to reflect about my life and reflect about certain things, and I remembered an amazing revelation that absolutely changed my life when I was able to actually comprehend the truth. See, I used to think like most people on this earth do. I used to think that the Jewish God or the Christian God was this mean God in the clouds with a magnifying glass pointing it at us, and we're just a bunch of ants and he's frying us under the sunlight. You're going to hell and you're going to hell, and if you don't worship me or you don't praise me, then you're going to go to hell. And I was just like, man, why would I ever want to worship that God? I spent most of my life actually hating the Christian God and hating Christians and all of Christianity in general. I actually became Buddhist when I was 8 years old by starting to read the Dharma. It made sense to me. It was more about what I could do, how I was my own God and made my own choices. But it got to a point where it didn't really answer a lot of my questions, to be honest. So I went into something called like New Age, which is like a hybrid of any faith and any belief system you want. You can pick and choose from any menu of anything out there, and you can take the pieces you like, put them all together, and boom, that's what you believe is what you believe. And that worked for me for a while, because it allowed me to open up to anything. But then I realized that there was a lot of stuff in there that was just baloney. So I had to narrow it down to what were the facts. I ended up coming up to something called Toltec Shamanism. Basically, it's like a form of witchcraft with voodoo and all sorts of other things worked into it. It was pretty intense, I'm not going to lie. But even that got to a point where it just got to an evil place, to be honest with you. I mean, would you really want to practice voodoo? I don't. It's not really a good fun thing. Point is that I ended up realizing that if I was really going to understand all the religions of the world, I had to read all of them. And there was one book left that I swore I was an expert on, even though I'd never read it, and that was the Bible. I was 24 years old, I picked it up and I read it for myself. And I have to tell you the truth. I was completely wrong about it. Not only was I wrong about it, but everybody who had told me about it was wrong. All the Christians who had told me about what was in it, all the haters and the atheists who told me what was in it, they were wrong as well. And I was mind blown about how much truth of what I had already experienced in my life was in these pages, and how much the book came to life as I was reading it. And it was the only book out of all the Bibles or all the spiritual Bibles or religious books that are out there. It was the only one I can say genuinely came to life as I was reading it. And there was a very particular moment where I had an epiphany. I realized that we are not all running to God, begging him to let us into the pearly gates. That's how we think about it. The truth of the matter is we are all running as fast as we can to hell, and God is chasing us saying, hey, please turn around and look at me. I have something I want to tell you. Please turn around and look at me. I have something I want to show you. And what he wants to show us is the cross. When Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, died on the cross, it was God in flesh. He limited himself as a man, knowing that we would endure this life, that we had free will, and we would make stupid choices. We are in a perpetual state of adolescence, if you will, according to God, or our relationship with God. It's according to us, but our relationship with God, in the sense that when our fathers and our mothers told us when we were kids, you can't stay out past 10, we'd sneak out and go hang out with our friends. When they said you can't smoke cigarettes, we would sneak out or we would sneak a cigarette and try it because we wanted to try it. Or same thing with alcohol or anything. There were so many things that our parents told us not to do. And because they told us not to do it, curiosity killed the cat and we would go and do it. But we never really left that. We still do things even as adults in this world where we know it's sin. And what's crazy is I don't need a Bible to tell me I sin. I have felt it before I even read the Bible. I felt it before I even knew what sin was. Anytime I did something wrong, I felt it to the core of my soul. I knew sin before anybody ever told it to me. That was the beginning of my proof that God was real. That was the beginning of the proof that I needed salvation from my sins, because I felt the cost of my sins. I didn't understand it, but I felt it. When I ended up reading the gospel, what I realized was everybody is running towards hell at full speed, and God is chasing after us. He's reaching out to each of us in our own time, and he's turning us around, asking us to listen to him, to look at him, and then he wants to show us how much he loves him. And the ultimate act of God's love is Yeshua on the cross. There is no greater moment of sacrifice and no greater person who sacrificed as much as Yeshua HaMashiach did. In every religion or any religion in the whole United States and the whole world or beyond. I know, I've read them. I don't know if this is speaking to you, but that revelation of realizing that we're not a whole bunch of souls scratching at the pearly gates asking God to come in, and he's like a nightclub bouncer sitting there going, you can come in and you can't come in, and I don't like you, so you're staying in hell, and you're okay, you can come in. When I realized that that wasn't the reality, even though honestly that's pretty much what I thought before I actually read the Bible for myself, when I realized that it was the other way around, and he is chasing after us, that he gave us free will because he wants us to love him out of free will. He doesn't want us to be robots or puppets. And he does allow us to sin. But just because we sin doesn't mean that we should just get to sin all we want, kill anybody and every day all we want, be a Hitler if we want, and still get to go to heaven. That doesn't make sense. So I understand the reason why there's a heaven and a hell. I understand why there's a separation of the people who choose God and the people who choose their own way. We do that here in our own society. When somebody decides to obey the law, they stay free and can do what they want. If somebody breaks the law, they go to prison. It makes sense. And when things make sense, it's freeing. And that's another funny thing. The Bible has this wonderful passage which really speaks true to me in my ministry. It's John 8:32. It says, ye shall know the truth, and it shall make you free. And I got to be honest. Ever since I realized the truth that God has chased me my whole life, asking me to look at him because he wanted to free me from myself, my whole life changed. And ever since I started walking with him instead of running for myself, my whole being has been filled with a joy and a happiness and a peace that no other religion, no other spirituality, no magic, no voodoo, no nothing could have ever given me. I can only tell you what I've experienced, but I hope that this speaks to you, and I hope that it at least opens up your mind, because right now what I'm doing is I'm helping my Father, and I'm running out to as many people as I possibly can, helping him to turn other people around. And this video is my attempt. I hope that you hear what I'm saying, and I hope that your ears will open, your heart will open, and your mind will open, and say, you know what? That makes sense. I'm going to look into that Bible. I'm going to look into your God. I'm going to look into the truth of this Yeshua or Jesus guy. Because once you do, you're going to see the most beautiful God that actually is, that could ever be. And man, does he love you. Thank you for watching this video. I'm Nathan Wheeler, and we're the Yeshua Network. Facebook.com, Yeshua Official. Be blessed, be the blessing, and be the light.